Hello everyone, welcome to Unicorn Light Tarot. Sincerely hope everybody is doing amazingly well today. Whether you are brand new and this is the first time you are clicking on this video, or you are returning, or you're a brand new subscriber, welcome one and all. Today we are working with beautiful dragon energy. We've got the Phoenix Rising energy, we've got the element of definitely magic and beauty, but the fire element today. We also have our dragon emblem, we have our fire emblems all going on too. So even though this is a timeless reading, so anytime you click on this reading, it should resonate with you. If you're being called to the reading, we are working with collective energy, and there's definitely this wanting to sort of burn off the old and rise out of the ashes for this Phoenix Rising, which is why we have the Phoenix Rising right here. So having this dragon guide message for you, having your dragon guides come forward and giving you messages and talking about your passions and a fire passion reading, what's in store for you and what fire energy wants you to know. So we're going to leave it completely up to your fire guides, your dragon guides, but the themes are going to be metamorphosis, transmutation, transformation, passion, just fire in general. And as always, we have 3 piles. Now, these readings always work when you are much more aligned with yourself, really in your own body and working with your own heart chakra and intuition. So if you need to go off and do whatever you need to do, feel free to pause the video. The timestamps will be down below as always. And yeah, for everybody who's still here, let's take in a lovely deep breath. Hold for a second and slowly release everything that you do not need. Let's come into the present moment together. The minute your reading is over, of course, you're welcome to pick up anything that you've dropped down at your feet right now and go on with your life. But right now, let's just stay in the moment. So I left the energy, there's so much like magical, beautiful sort of dragon energy and fire energy in and around. So I left this completely at your own sort of whim of which pile you needed based on your intuition. So again, if you need to pause the video to check in and see which pile you want, go ahead and do that. But this is pile 1, 2, and 3. So let's go ahead and get you these dragon guide messages. I'm going to put aside pile 2. Whoops, that's a little bit of pile 2. And pile 3. And so if you, I did that again. These cards want to stay and be read. So if you picked pile 1 again, we are doing messages from your dragon guide, what messages they have for you. The theme is transmutation, movement forward, kicking out the old passion, whatever they want you to come up with. So let's see what messages they have for you today. So we're going to start with the Dragon Oracle, and this is going to be the theme of your reading, and then we will move on and get some more in-depth readings and messages from the Oracle, and then right into the Tarot. So you have the Earth and Water Dragon, creates the foundation for new growth. A fresh start is coming with new opportunities. Nurture your ideas and harvest the abundance. So there's a lot of passionate energy in and around you. There's also a lot of energy of moving out of old ways of thinking and limited beliefs of what it is that you want, building that beautiful, that strong foundation of self-worth and coming back to you and knowing that you are worthy, which is absolutely wonderful. And having that sort of fight back a little bit, what we mean is, when you give away your energy, you don't have as much energy, pulling back your energy back to you. So you've got that fight, you've got that passion, that extra energy. So for some of you, you could be sort of in and out of energy, of sort of dipping down, of not feeling as though you have a lot of energy. But once you just sit there for a while and sort of regroup, you can quite easily bounce back with your energy, sort of this really fiery energy that's in and around you anyway, even though this is earth and water. So working with the foundation, really grounding yourself into this energy, but also using the cleansingness of water. Some of you are really letting go of old stuff. And again, don't get into this whole rabbit hole of needing to go back and heal this and heal that and do this course and do that course. It's not necessary unless you feel as though, you know, it's part of what you want to do. We'd never tell you not to do anything that you're felt drawn to, but it's not necessarily. It's just releasing the old and really coming into who you are. So for those of you who are releasing, like crying, that's wonderful. That's a really wonderful, like weeping even. It could be like happy tears, you know, really grateful at the same time, a little bit of sad, a little bit of this, but really, really bring it in, because when we actually release, you're physically releasing old energy from your body, and crying can really do that. And it's really wonderful. And very cathartic for you. So if that's happening for you, that's wonderful. But these new opportunities that are coming in, these new ideas that are coming in, this expansiveness that you've got going on, and then you'll click on something and then you'll be, oh my goodness, I want to apply for that, or this is absolutely wonderful. I would not have come up with this myself, but this is exactly what I want to do, and I can make this work. So it's just expansiveness, and then just watching as the exterior world brings in what it is that you're looking for. So there's, even though there's this masculine energy of this passion and this fire, there's this really warm, divine feminine energy of receptivity, of just being who you are and appreciating who you are and working with that passion, but staying and standing still in that passionate understanding of who you are and just letting everything come to you, which may be a new way of working for you, but it's going to work really well for you. So you've got Magician and the Mirror here, 53, and you've also got individuality, and you've got the 11 here. So there could be some numbers coming up for you. The 1111, Archangel Metatron could be in and around you too. Again, activation, moving forward. But this is about really coming into your own energy and really expressing who you are in an individual type way. Really expressing your blueprint, specifically about what you want to do. Now, there's specifics about like really fine tuning what it is that you want to do in this world and bringing it in and making it possible. Now, you may have, you know, as you're working on this firm foundation, that's absolutely wonderful. But what you want to do is something tangible in the world. Now, when people say, and you say to people, you know, what do you want to do here? And you say something like, I want to eradicate homelessness. You actually mean it, and the other person might be laughing. And that's totally fine. But you actually have these expansive ideas of how to work with these really big, expansive ways of like actually ending something and bringing in much more harmony. And it's actually possible for you because you're all about the psychology of everything. You're even about the science of stuff. You're about, you know, the roots, the tangibility of how we can get this done. So you understand the makeup of people. You understand that when people believe in themselves and they understand that they have a depth far beyond that they may have perceived before, then they can do anything with their lives. They change their reality in an instant. You know, a lot of people are working, you know, we work on 2-3%, but when we understand that we are the universe, everything opens up to us. So bringing in that light for people, showing people who they are and grounding them into their own blueprint so they have self-confidence to move forward and move through addictions, move through any kind of blocks that could be actually, you know, sort of pulling them back or holding on to them in any way. This is something that you can actually work with. This is the kind of beauty that you can do. You work on a grassroots level in a way, but the work that you do is important. So when you say, I want to eradicate this, that, and the other, I want to eradicate hunger, I want to do this, that, and the other, your plan is brilliant, because it gets to the heart of the matter. And this is what you're here to do. And this is what you're working on. And this passionate stuff is working for you. So understanding that you're here to do something big. And also, in your lifetime, as you've grown up, you've always thought kind of big. Your imagination is vast. You don't do things by halfway. You've got a little bit of an all or nothing personality for most of you. You've learned how to sort of work in the gray area, but it may not feel that natural to you all the time. So when you really commit to something, you do it. Like, everybody get out of your way. You're ready to do it. So this is something. You have the personality type, you have the drive to be able to do this. Now, of course, you also have the drive to be able to attract the kind of people that would be able to work with you and also help you in this too. You have a charm and a mysteriousness to you that people want to help you out. So, for people, as you were growing up and you came up with these really large things, I want to be doing this, I want to achieve that. People around you may not have believed that you could do that, but that was just the way that they saw the world. It was projected upon you. So you sort of learned how to shut that down a little bit. Maybe you didn't believe in yourself as much, or you try to keep a real practical sort of understanding of it, well, just in case it doesn't work out, or you learn not to tell anybody anything. But this is all sort of blowing wide open for you in this really beautiful way, where you're claiming and going, no, I'm going to do it. The sky is the limit. I can do this. And also the most important thing that's happening here, which is really exciting for you, that's causing this expansiveness, is finally you're saying, I don't need to do this on my own. It's not just working with the universe. There's actually tangible people, real people in the world who'd be in a position to be able to help you. And even though you may not know them now, you know that you have the resources, you have the passion to be able to find them. You understand how your energy works. You can bring them in now. And this makes all of your projects possible. So this is a really exciting time for you. External validation, absolutely. This is something that you, it's not that you really sought to find it before, external validation, but there was a part of you, for a lot of you, that, working in the world, trying to figure out what you want to do, you did compare yourself to others, but more sort of specifically, the validation part of it is that, there was just a part of you that got lost really in this idea of what you needed to achieve and why you needed to achieve it. And all you needed to do, you didn't have to sort through the world or even let anything crumble within. All you really needed to do is come back to you and start having that faith within yourself. That faith that you absolutely had when you were a kid and you were out there and you would just, ta-da, here I am. It's coming back again, and that's all you needed. And it really solidified the fact that anything is possible. And that's an absolutely beautiful place for you to be in. So it's not a matter of you having to go through and allow things to crumble within. Like the external world as we know it is crumbling anyway. You're just watching the sort of the rise and the fall of it, kind of from a distance and not getting yourself involved. And that's the best way to do it, really. All you needed to do is put the focus back on you and to understand how beautiful you are in a really, really tangible way. And, one step further, the way in which you did that is that everything that you want to do is altruistic. Everything that you want to happen in the world will genuinely make this world a better place. But you also know that there's funds that needs to happen. So there's a lot of money stuff that you did, a lot of money activations that you worked through, and understanding that everything that you want for the world is brilliant and achievable. And then that also gave you that self-love. That also gave you that confidence to say, I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this for everybody else, but not in this martyr way, in this way that's absolutely tangible. So there's this energy that's coming in, this alchemical energy that's coming in. It's sort of blowing away all this old sort of cobwebs, this crap of, I don't know if I can achieve this. And because you were always seeing of, your resources, how you can work with your resources, and not to be rude, pile one, but sometimes, most of the time, your resources sort of fell flat, but you realize you don't need to do that. Your resources is A, the universe, B, could be other people's resources, and you know that you are able to work with all of this now. You opening up to this expansiveness of understanding that other people are there to help you, and there's so much help in the world, has changed everything for you, and it's put you in this receptive mode, which is highly divine feminine and exactly where you need to be, because you were working in the divine masculine, which is absolutely gorgeous. But this divine feminine really opens you up to this receptive energy of, okay, what next? Who can help me now? And it's, and you're going in and out of, I can do this, I can get funding for that, I can do that, and just letting the energy come to you. Very exciting things ahead, by the way. You've got the Magician and it's reversed under external validation. And here we have the Hanged Man. Oh, I see what's happening with these. Okay. All right, so I don't usually do this, but I picked up the tarot deck upside down. So these are actually not reversed. These are, I just picked them up, sort of very Mercury retrograde, even though this is a timeless reading. Very Mercury retrograde move. So here we have the Magician, again, taking that magical energy and working it the way in which you want to be seen, and the way you're a little bit of a chameleon too, the way in which you work. You have this sort of regal aspect. People want to work with you. You know how to use it. You also know how to charm people. You also know how to charm people where, you can see the beauty in them. The thing is with you that's really beautiful is that even though you may not agree with everybody, and you come from sort of different sides of the tracks, to put it plainly, when people are somewhat falling short, you can see the trauma in other people. So you have that compassion. You can see where it comes from. So you don't judge people from it. Now, this is a beautiful thing, especially for what you will be able to do, because you're sort of a social chameleon. You'll be able to get funding from all sorts of different people because you're charming and you speak to people at their level. You sort of know instinctively what it is that you need to say in order to sort of get in with them. Now, it's not manipulative per se, although some people might be a little bit afraid of your power and accuse you of being that. And in the past, you probably were accused of that. But you're just brilliant at what you do. Now, you're not manipulative because everything you do is for the greater good. And you just know how to speak to people. But very few people know how to work the room the way in which you do, because everybody has up their barriers, or they don't think like me, or I don't want that kind of money. I don't know where that money's been. I don't know where that person, I don't want to work with them. But you're coming in from an expansive point of view, and it's all about uniting. And that's what you do. It's all about uniting. And again, as you work at this core level with each individual, as you start to touch people's hearts and sort of teach them or show them, hold space for them to see how beautiful they are. It really doesn't matter where they came from or what their ideology is. We are all one and the same, and we can have compassion. So you will be able to get results from people where people are amazed. I can't believe you got that much funding out of this one person. This is absolutely ridiculous. But this is something that you could do. Now, this is somewhat specific. So this is just an example of how you can fund it, an example of how you will be working sort of in communities, in net communities, and building communities. It's not about you being on your own and trying to do this from this platform that you have created, which is wonderful. But you're here to build communities. You're here to build assurances. You're here to change everything. You're here to connect. Soul family is coming in too. Now, if you don't see this coming in yet, because this is part of soul family coming in, or there's flashes of what can come in where you're like, oh my goodness, this could happen if I never even thought about going this route. Let me click on this. It just came up randomly on Facebook or Instagram or something like that. Let me check up about it. Like some kind of grant or something like that. And then it sets you off in motion in a very specific way where I could totally make this work. This is amazing, whether you get the grant or not. You're getting flashes of things. Now, again, even though we are at a timeless reading, we are working with universal energy right now. We are in the last week of Mercury retrograde. So even though it may not be vroom time just yet, although when you click on this in the future, it may be vroom time for you, it will be coming in. But please pay attention to those flashes. Those flashes are very important. When they click with your heart or in your stomach and you get those butterfly or that electricity that comes up from the base of your chakra, your first chakra, but at the coxswain here at the back and all the way up the back of your back, all the way through to the higher self here. That's when you know that there's something that's clicking in, because your guides are showing you a path. So if you haven't really had a tangible path before and you don't know how to really deal with it or what you're doing, these flashes are coming in. They're absolutely coming in. So pay attention to the flashes, but don't necessarily get really bogged down with how the flashes came in. I absolutely need that grant. That's not to say that you shouldn't apply for it. Absolutely do it. These flashes are coming in for you not to attach onto anything per se, but to keep that expansiveness going out. But at the same time, paradoxically, really hone in on what it is that you want to do here. I think I said this on a really old video now, but if a mission statement, which can change and shift, but if this helps getting it down, scripting it down, really working with what you want to do. Now it could be expansive as you want, but get down, at least in your mind, and even script it out, write it down, type it out, handwriting, put it up there, have your statement, know what it is that you're doing in this it'll activate your blueprint even quicker. So yeah, you're working on old systems, pulling down old systems. Now there's many different ways that you'll be doing that. You won't be doing it with the external, you'll be working with the individual, with the psychology and the beauty of the individual. Now some of you could even be working on sort of addiction level, why people get into that, what they're doing, but showing people and showing people who they are through trauma particularly, and trauma that exists where they've been led on to a certain type of behavior that's pulling them down. This is what you'll be doing on an individual level, which will connect on a global level and will shift in many, many different ways. Sorry, we've got the cops in the background. Apparently someone's about to get arrested. God love them. So we have also the judgment card coming in too. So working within systems, the way in which you will do this is very much on your own terms. You're not going to, it's not that, you don't believe in getting trained for things. Absolutely you do. But everything that you have, the way in which you work with people already is more than enough to work with people one-on-one. Now, if you need that certificate, go ahead and do that if it feels right for you. But you won't be necessarily working within the system. You won't be working within the court system. You'll be working outside of it. Whatever you do, you'll be watching those systems crumble down. And actually, you're here to really show that we are all one. We all bleed red. We're exactly the same one way or another. We are completely unique, absolutely, but no one person is above or below somebody else. So the court systems tend to be askew, have like askew ways of dealing with things, and so you won't be working in those systems. You'll be working outside of those systems, but you'll be very successful in what you do because you'll be able to sort of work through this very, very quickly because you're not bound down by any of these systems. So you're here to create new systems and actually abolish the old systems in many ways and sort of bring back the old ways and the old ways of doing things. And part of that is that passionate energy that you have, but really infused with the absolutely magical, I keep getting the rose coming up, this absolutely magical, beautiful energy of the divine feminine and a different way of healing too. Instead of coming up, and there's nothing wrong with this too, if you need therapy, please go and get help that you need. Always, 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 don't ever feel any shame for it. But the other way that you'll be working with healing too in and around people is there's actually the system that I saw, I think they do it in Taos, and it's called the rose healing or something like that. Now don't quote me on it, it's not exactly, I just saw it and I didn't look into it that much, but I loved the idea of it. I've seen it in other indigenous cultures, where instead of bringing up all the old stuff constantly and working through it, as psychotherapy tends to do, what they do is they shower everybody with love. The individual that they're working with, and they work with Rose, and they work with all of that energy, and from that they heal everything from the inside out. So it's a way of sort of elevating the energy first and then healing everything that comes in. So it's sort of working with the higher self and then healing everything down instead of working through each and every one of those sort of traumatic events. And it's done in a really safe way, and it's done completely with love. Now, this is the essence of who you are. This is the essence of what you'll be doing on every single level. Now, each and every one of you, because obviously this is a general reading, will be taking this energy and doing with it the way in which you want to do. You'll be dealing with it with your own unique, beautiful, mysterious gorgeousness, bringing in your own anecdotal stuff, whatever you've worked with, whatever experience you've had with it too, been broken and built yourself up broken, right? That's another thing you're going to do, this idea of being broken. You're really going to to look at all of the things that, you know, we've had to put up with in the world of being broken, needing healing, this, that, and the other, not being whole, and just really bringing it into a tangible way that people can actually, even a course, the way in which you work with people can see their beauty very, very quickly. So don't doubt yourself, and don't necessarily doubt and try and focus too much about how that will happen. As we said before, timelines are converging right now. The specifics of what you're doing may not it might be time sensitive, but you know, it may not be set yet in the timeline, but these flashes are coming in for you. They're absolutely coming in for you. So do pay attention to them as you have this expansiveness, and pay attention to them, because they will be leading you in the right direction. So, and again, don't get really caught up on the specifics of it and the end result. Like if it's a grant and then the grant is for something that's specific that really intrigues you and you're like, I never thought of this, but I could totally do this. Again, apply for the grant, but it's not about the grant. So just keep the expansiveness, keep that beautiful energy coming up, that fire energy fused with the divine feminine coming in, again with the rose energy, a lot of rose energy, self-healing coming in, and that beautiful firm foundation that is absolutely brand new. So you're working with brand new energy with yourself, again with that expansiveness, but it's also really very much rooted into the ground, but in the way that you want. You're working outside of the laws of, pretty much the laws of everything, of the system, these systems that are crumbling anyway. You weren't here to enforce these systems or to live within them. You're here to bust them out and do something different. I explore my wildness and dance in pleasure. Absolutely, that's what you're here to do, that passion, that wildness. Get out of those rules and do what you want to do, and, you know, stay in that expansive energy and really enjoy it. In one of the last videos, readings, we talked about, like, or maybe it was one of the blog posts, I'm forgetting now, but we talked about life being a dance movement instead of having to pick 1, 2, 3, you know, figuring out the destination. Stay in that expansiveness, do the dance, and everything will come to you. Absolutely. Every day I bring radical self-love to my mind, body, and spirit. This really is your mantra. This is your mantra for you. This is the mantra that you will be working with other people. Once people see this and work with this receptivity of the divine feminine, there's nothing that they can't do. There's nothing that they can't heal in record time too. We tend to have had the healing mechanisms of the divine masculine, very practical in society. But you know, when we heal with the divine feminine, everything happens a lot quicker. Now we do need that divine masculine and the divine feminine as that balance, but healing with the receptivity of the divine feminine makes things go quicker. So working on yourself every day in this manner, bringing this manner to this expansiveness to people in and around you, building communities. You can eradicate hunger, homelessness, whatever it is that you're supposed to do in this blueprint. Again, if you feel like you want to do this, write your mission statement down, change it every day if you want to. Remember, expansiveness, it's not about just choosing 1 or 2 things. You can do everything together. Just watch those sparks as they come in and pay attention to them. They're going to lead you on to the next thing. Soul families coming in, to funding's coming in, everything's coming in to come in and around to help you. Just keep that expansiveness up. Let everything come to you. So beautiful, Pile 1, absolutely gorgeous. This is what we have for you. We are sending you so much love and support for exactly who you are and where you are in the world. Go be you with that beautiful, bright, passionate energy that you have. You will change the world. You're already doing it just by being you. Until we meet again, take care. Bye-bye. Hey, beautiful Pile 2. This is your reading, your pile. Which dragon guide? Well, this is your dragon guide, Pile 2. Your dragon guide has a message for you. Now, it's going to be about bringing in your passion, all about passion, transmuting fire, passion, energy, and the element of fire. So we have the phoenix rising here. We also have our dragon energy here with dragon energy everywhere. So we're going to start with the dragon oracle, of course, to set the theme of where we will go in this reading. And then we have the oracle. And of course, we're going to go right into our tarot also. So let's get right into your beautiful reading. Dark blue galactic dragon helps you listen to the voice of the universe, ignite the codes of your master blueprint, access cosmic wisdom, and enter higher service. Absolutely beautiful. This is pretty much what we talked about in pile 1. It's not uncommon to have like a thread of every, different energy, but also the same sort of themes come up. So this is you really acknowledging who you are. This is you sort of being the not bionic person necessarily, but really honing into the galactic energy without having to have those labels either. Sometimes, when people, express the labels, they forget that we're here to have a human experience. This is not going to be you. This is the galactic humanoid experience of what you're here to do. So it's working with the higher and lower energies, but really understanding that sort of in-between sweet spot of listening to the universe. Also, you've been doing a lot of listening of late, which is absolutely wonderful. Listening to your higher self, because that practical element of you likes to move forward. You have a lot of passion, my goodness, you have a lot of energy, and when you've committed to something, you go for it. In that way, you have something in common with pile 1, but it's very different energy, because what you can do sometimes, you can keep going, but you don't listen necessarily to the divine feminine energy that's coming in. You let the divine masculine take over, and you just go for it. And then you just sort of, end up stopping for a second and going, what the hell am I doing? Why am I here? You can go off track a little bit. So you've learned to sort of come back a little bit, come back into yourself, get into that divine feminine energy too, because that divine masculine energy is gorgeous within you. Absolutely beautiful. And when you have decided on something, you've committed on something, nothing, not even a tidal wave is going to hold you back. So you've got that. But in that listening, you're really discerning who you are. You're also discerning what it is that you want to do. You're also co-creating in every moment what you want, and you're not settling, which is really important. That's another thing that you've done before, because in this way you have something again with pile 1, but very different energy. Judging what you can do based on resources. So, I don't have this resource, so I'll settle for this, I'll settle for that. With this new expansive energy that you have, you realize that there are so many different resources when you are akin, when you are really working with the universe, they give you the resources. So listening for that, and not, trying to do everything on your own. Well, I only have enough money for this, or I only have enough, I can only do this based on what I have right now. Expansiveness. This is what I want to do, universe. This is for my highest good. I believe it is, step up and match my energy. And this is a beautiful thing for you to do, because what you're doing is you're taking authority for your life. And this is something that you've taken responsibility to a greater degree in your life, but you've never really taken that authority in your life and said, you know what, this is who I am, this is what I'm doing, and I deserve it, and saying it out loud. You've had moments of it when your back was up against the wall, but you weren't able to keep hold of that energy and infuse that energy in everything that you do. But now you're doing this, you know that you're magic, and it's almost like you've got nothing left to lose. And in the past, you've had that before, but it's been that sort of slightly desperate energy, but something's come out of it anyway. Some kind of magic has come out of it. You're not doing that anymore. There's nothing desperate about this, but you literally are at this point where you're like, I've got nothing left to lose. It's now or never. I can feel it. And you're feeling that phoenix energy rising from the ashes, and nothing is going to stop you. And one of the reasons why you're so secure in this, and we absolutely applaud you for this, is because you don't give a F what people think of you anymore. You're just done with it. You've realized you've spent a good portion of your life dumbing yourself down to help other people, or, dumbing yourself down because they didn't know how to shine in the light and you wanted them to shine, or because you were afraid that you were going to get attacked, or your energy was going to pull in darkness, or whatever it is a myriad of different things. You've kept yourself small, and recently, with all the work that you've done on yourself, or just the realizations, you've done a lot of work that's in the past, the realizations that you've had, it's like, fuck it, I'm going to do it. why shouldn't I do it? And that energy sort of opened up this floodgate of brilliance, which is great. Yeah, seventh chakra, Archangel Uriel, you've got 41 here. You're well on your way to doing this, and it's all coming from the light. It's also coming from this interior self-confidence that you have. Now, there's a part of you that feels like you'll never have enough self-confidence, and that's fine. In the past, you would have said, well, I'm not ready to do this. I want to have a little bit more of my ducks in a row, or I want to do this, or I want to do that, or you know what, I finished this project, but I don't know if I want to step into the role of putting that project out there. I don't know if I'm ready yet. I don't know if I'm ready for the limelight. I'm not sure. And now you're saying, I am. I'm gonna make myself ready. Or you realize you don't have to be completely ready to do whatever it is that you want to do. But you're willing to put yourself out there, and this is a brand new thing for you. But you're not doing this sort of willy-nilly. You really understand that you have this support and you've got this. And sometimes you have these days where you're like, I'm feeling a little bleak. I'm not too sure if I can do it. And the doubt comes in. Perfectly natural. Don't worry about it. If you dip in energy, that passion will come up the next day. You've worked too hard to get to this. You're at the stage where you can sense it. You can feel it. You've been working toward it, like that moon energy, or that wheel energy moving forward, moving you in to this new environment too. And then fierce serenity. Absolutely. Understanding that it really comes from your own heart and your own healing and the way in which you see the world. You know, a lot of you have come from sort of places where you've seen a lot of stuff, and you've seen a lot of darkness, and you've experienced a lot of darkness, and you kept bumping into that darkness. And, you know, so your environment, for some of you, you know, general reading, it's not going to be for everyone, but your environment, one way or another, sort of growing up, has been infused with darkness one way or another. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's wonderful. We often talk about darkness, you know, the beautiful traits and gorgeousness being in the dark, and reclaiming the darkness and all of that. But this is darkness that's infused with, you know, everything that you're doing. So if you have, like, you know, 10%, if you have 90% of light, there's that 10% of darkness that comes in, and it carries you all the time in a way where it's not being infused, it's not being invoked, it's just always with you. And it's been heavy. That 10% has been heavy, but you've come to the conclusion that you are worth more, and that it's come into you where you absolutely understand that you can do this without a shadow of a doubt. And you were born to do it. Like, it's almost like you've been ignited, and there's been activation there. And that 10% of that darkness you can utilize now. You know, there might be gifts in that darkness. You can see it, but it's not that heaviness anymore. It's not holding you back. And it's providing you with this understanding that no matter what happens, you know you're going to be okay. And it's also this understanding of eternal. You've really clicked into the understanding predominantly that your soul is eternal. Now, some of this has come from past lives where they've really come up, and you know without a shadow of a doubt that you've had past lives, and they've echoed into this lifetime, working with your bloodline and ancestors too. There's this reoccurring themes that come in. So you know that you're going to blossom and bloom even after what we call the physical death in this lifetime. So there's something about connecting to that energy of being everlasting that's given you this confidence to say, fuck it, I'm going to do it. You know, it's now or never, because there is no failing, and I've got to do it. And you've motivated yourself before through fear. There's nothing wrong with that. I've actually done that too. It can be very powerful. It's extreme in the way that you've done that, but you're not motivating yourself from fear anymore. Like we said, that 10% is either being integrated, it's been transmuted, it's being transferred, or you're working to see the gifts in this darkness, rather than instead of carrying that darkness constantly with you. So in the past, when beautiful things were happening, that 10% darkness came up sometimes. Now, we can call it ego, we can call it whatever. It's up to you. We have various different names for it. But even that 10% of that ego could have given you a little bit of that self-doubt, and then you looped back into doing things the old way. But this is brand new now, so it's exciting. So you've got the 5 of Wands under fierce serenity. That's the way that you're working. And then you've got the Emperor here. So you've got the divine masculine, the divine feminine coming in to support each other as you move forward. And also being very, very stern with yourself sometimes. It's very important that you do this because you have a very, very sensitive mind. Now, if other people did this to you and they scolded you, this is not the way that you learn. Some people really, really learn from that. That's not the way that you would learn because you saw the harshness. You carried that harshness in and around you. You saw that in and around the world. And you had that growing up, some of you, or you felt it because you were so sensitive. So people having that harshness in and around you would not let you grow. I'm doing this for your own good. Toughen up. That's not going to work for you. However, it does work for you if you do it to yourself. So you can always say when your mind starts going into this doubt thing, and it does, your ego starts playing with you a little bit once you come into this and you're already into this or you're coming into this energy. This isn't going to work, or let's go back to the practicality just in case it doesn't work. Give yourself that absolute, we're not doing this anymore. We already know we're powerful. We know we're eternal. We also know this is our time. There is there's no understating this, really. If you're in this reading and it's resonating, this is your time. This is your time to step up. You can feel it. You've been working toward it. There's nothing more for you to learn. You're going to learn as you step in, click into that blueprint. You're going to be learning and progressing and evolving your entire life. Certainly, it doesn't stop here, but there's nothing more for you to learn to do what you're going to do. You're it. This is it. You sense it. So when the ego, let's just call it the ego, when the ego comes in and it is trying to protect you and it's trying to take you back to those old familiar places, again, remember, it's only 10% of you. You've worked on the 90% to keep that 90% at higher level. Just say, we're not doing this anymore. We're not doing this. I am not going to go down this road anymore. I'm not taking this. This is absolutely not true. And call in the higher self. Remember, when this attitude comes in, what's happening is that your ego is pulling you back and it wants you to see everything through the 3D mind. That's what's happening with that 10%. You just go up to your higher mind and say, no, I'm going back to that 90%, and we're going to work in that 10% because there might be something else that I need to see, I need to integrate here, but not in this going down the rabbit hole, but there might be some beauty in that 10%, and that's great, but I'm still going to approach it from my higher self, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. So I'm not taking this negative talk. I know that the time is right. I know I'm here to do it. And you would not have put yourself in this lifetime, in this timeline, on this blueprint path if you did not know that you could do this and you had every single past life and all of that wisdom to back you up. So you've got this. You've got the Hierophant here too. You have all this divine masculine energy coming in with Archangel Uriel, which of course you can work with. And of course you have disc, the Three of Discs here, the Three of Pentacles coming in with the community, knowing that you can work with other people. Now, this is something that you have in common with Pile 1 too. With Pile 1 also. Now, if you feel called to, it might be good for you to check in with Pile 1 because there's a lot of crossovers here, although the energy is very different. So it's good that you're here first. But also this is talking about people working with you. And even though you feel as though you might be coming in at a lower level than them, you still have something that they want to work with. So it's about building the community. It's about building faith within that community and being seen for exactly who you are and what you can bring to each and every one of these projects. So that, again, like Pile 1, bringing in this expansiveness, staying in your higher power brings in the community and all the resources that you need, even though people will be like, over a glass of champagne or whatever, if you don't drink a glass of green tea, and say, oh my goodness, I don't know how you pulled this off. Or people will say, I don't know where this person came from. All of a sudden they're everywhere. I see their name everywhere and I don't know. But you've been working on the sidelines for so long doing this work. You've been working on the sidelines, really figuring out who you are and what your beauty is. And also you've carried a lot, and this is a theme with light workers and also with starseeds, and both of those you are. And of course you're an alchemist, of carrying that darkness and shedding it and transmuting it, and that's what you were doing. So that's a lot of that heaviness too. But as you do that, you've learned to do this on a personal level, on a micro level, knowing how to do this for yourself. So this is the energy that we need to transmute right now in the world. So as an alchemist, you know how to do all of this stuff. you've come in from past lives, you know how to work with all of this energy, and other people will be able to sense that, and they may have the capital, but they wouldn't know how to implement it. So, you've gone off and done certain things. It's not that you're against school or whatever. You may even have a degree or two, but you've gone off and you've done things on your own way, in your own way. You've trained with this person, you've done this, and you've picked up the knowledge the way in which you want to, and you're attracted to that kind of knowledge. You pull in that knowledge, but if not every single aspect of that knowledge works with you. You drop what doesn't work. You're not mindless in that way. When somebody says, this is how it is, God is this, woman is that, you're like, yeah, fuck off. I'm not doing that. Excuse my French. Now, you'll extract all the knowledge from each and every sort of person. You're not into sort of following gurus or anything like that, but you will go in to what everybody's is saying, and you can feel the energy, and you can feel the higher self sort of resonating or not resonating, and you take in what resonates with you and you transmute it and you work it your own way, and you're able to sort of work with it in a way that's actually going to be tangible and workable in the world. So the way in which you work is actually really important, because you have many different dichotomies, you have many different schools of thought coming in, and then as you transmute it and you work with it with this beautiful passionate energy and this fire energy that you have, you're able to come up with the best of each and every world without having to have one single discipline or one whatever. And you'll be known for that in this world. So if you do psychology, for instance, you'll bring in a very specific holistic version of it that really, really works. That's really speaking to what we need right now. If you're in medicine, you'll bring in the herbal aspect of it, whatever it is that medicine was sort of falling short of, and bring that in what we need right now. So you're bringing in the old, revamping it and merging it with what we need now. And that's the way that your personality works, because you've gone in and out of working with all these different modalities your entire life, one way or another. Now, there could have been certain times when you're like, I've taken all these different courses, I don't even know how to meld them together, even though you don't regret them. And you're going to continually do that. And that's why if you go back to school or whatever, it would be, if you could choose the elements of what you want to do, you're not going to study somebody else's history without questioning it. You're not going to do this, that, and the other. But if you could bring in all the elements that you want to study, you'll get that degree. But it also has this emphasis on the world being a better place, or not regurgitating the old, having that sort of expansiveness of what we need to move into now. That's exactly what you do. So building those communities with having that energy of everything that you've done, and then having that confidence and that expansiveness of saying, yeah, no, I'm an expert in this field. It always makes me laugh. I feel like I've said this once or twice, on this channel, but it always makes me laugh when people say, they're experts in demons or demonologists, right? But that's what you can do. I'm an expert in this, that, and the other, because I'm always thinking, are demons on the other side going, they're not an expert, they've never heard of me, they don't know. I mean, who are we speaking to where anybody can say, well, they're not really an expert? I mean, this is what you're doing though, but you can say that you're an expert in certain things because of the work that you've done and the expansiveness that you have, because you brought in so many different disciplines and brought them all together, and you're really open and honest about the energy that comes in. You're not tainted in that way. You don't bring in stuff that comes in from the ego and that can take you off in a different path. So even though I sort of joke about the demonology, I have no qualms with people saying that they're, experts in demonology. Again, who am I to say? How can I say that they're not, But this is exactly what you'll be doing. But you're in a position to say, I'm an expert in this, regardless of whether people can calibrate that or not. You can calibrate it. You can stand in your own energy, and people will be able to sense that. You'll be able to pull in, very similar to Pal 1, that funding or the resources that you need. So working with the energy, again, staying in that expansiveness big time, staying in that beautiful higher self that you've got, and not letting that 10% sort of work its way in. And if you do, be very, very strong with yourself. Again, the one thing, a practical note that you can do, and I've watched this happen too, when your ego comes in, it's going to say this is going to fail, and it's going to give you reasons for it to fail, but the reasons will always be the reasoning of what's happened before, but you weren't that person. You're not that person anymore. So you can say, give me proof or back off. That's what you can say you can absolutely say that to your ego. Give me proof that it's not going to work out, or you need to shut up. They'll never be able to give you proof. What they'll be doing is telling look at what happened before. And all you have to say is that's not proof. That's what happened before, because that's the energy I had around that movement in and around that time. I'm not that person anymore. It's not going to happen like that anymore. That's not proof. Unless you can give me tangible proof, you need to back off, because you cannot prove to me right now that this is all going to fall apart. And that's how you can quiet your mind. And that's how you can do that with that real firm divine masculine saying, very, very sweetly, but extremely firmly, we don't need to go down this path. You can't give me proof. I'm not doing this. It works every time with the ego. The next time the ego is trying to give you like this tangible way that this is not going to work out, X, Y, and Z, it's always going on the past. Say, we're not doing the past anymore. Unless you can give me tangible proof in the present or in the future, which you will never be able to do, then we're done here. And that's one way that you can sort of sever the ties there. And not to say that you need to sever the ties in any way with your ego. It's just there to help you in some ways. But this divine masculine that you're working with is funny, because it would be even better for you to go back for pile 1, because that was really about the divine feminine energy coming in. Yours is more about working with the divine masculine energy and staying in that energy, because the divine feminine for you has been calibrated and has been worked in. That's something that you have. It's building that with the divine masculine to keep that energy up. To support that divine feminine as you move forward, staying in that higher state of expansiveness and letting the universe come to you with whatever is next. But it's all higher stuff, for sure. Higher energy coming in. And again, it's obvious that this is your time. So the timing is right. So I shine my light outwards for all to see. Absolutely. And that's what it's all about. Shining your light, your individuality, the way in which you want to be seen. But again, you're not in control of how people perceive you. You don't care about that anymore. You don't need to do or deal with that anymore. This is about shining your light and doing it in a way, and again, with the divine masculine, with your sword of truth, coming out there and saying, this is who I am, accept it or not, but this is who I am. So I am open and responsive to the abundance of the universe. And again, this is the beautiful way that you have the divine masculine, the divine feminine coming in. Divine masculine is saying, I've got the expansiveness here. I'm going to protect the divine feminine, but I am who I am. I'm going to stay in this expansiveness. I'm going to stay in this higher self. But I've got all of the myriad of different ways of working in the world that I know is needed right now. And I'm going to stay with them because I know I can help people. And I'm not going to let people tell me that because of the way I've done this, I don't have enough qualifications and this, that, and the other. That's absolutely rubbish. We're not working in school systems anymore. What are we even taught in schools anyway? So you're out there doing, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I have a master's degree. I believe in that too. Go be you if you want to go to school. But I'm just saying, school is not the be all or end all. If you've gone out of your way to do things a different way, that's absolutely wonderful. That makes you just as qualified as anybody else, more so probably. So shining your light, doing that, protecting that with the divine masculine and having that beautiful responsiveness, allowing in the divine feminine and having that support from that divine masculine when that 10% comes in. No, I'm not doing this. I'm absolutely not doing this anymore. Give me proof. Ego, give me proof. You can't, then F off. We're not doing this. This is your time. Everything is coming in for you. So stay in that expansiveness, stay working with that beautiful, passionate energy that you have and transmuting it and transfixing it and working within the divine masculine. And that's going to really pull you forward and support that divine feminine for that receptivity coming in. So that's what we have for you. Divine timing at its best. Go be you, pile 2, sending you so much support for exactly who you are and where you are in the world. Gorgeous, gorgeous reading. So much fun and passion for you going out there and doing exactly what you want to do and bringing all your expertise in different fields in really exciting, brand new, bold ways to this world. But honestly, we just need it. You are like a breath of fresh air. Don't change a bit. Just go be you. Until we meet again, take care. Hey, gorgeous pile 3s. This is your reading, last but not least. This is your dragon guide. They have a message for you. It's all about Phoenix rising and energy and passion. So talking about your passions and fire, energy, whatever it is they want you to know. And we have our dragon emblem here. We will start off with the dragon oracle, which will give us a theme into what's going on, and then of course we will go right into your reading with some oracle, and then of course we will bring in some tarot for some more detail. So let's start. You have your golden solar dragon, helps you stand in your masculine power with wisdom. Let your DNA be reprogrammed and light codes activated. Become an inspired leader. Wonderful. Now we've said with pile 1 and pile 2, there are some similarities, very different energies, but the same sort of themes coming into your power, of course, and holding that power, learning to wield that power with passion and possibility and expansiveness, and also working with the divine masculine, the divine feminine in this gorgeous way where the divine masculine can move forward with this passion and transmutation. And of course, with the star seeds, which of course you are, a lot of fairy element here with you guys too, with elemental energy coming into your masculine power, and really holding on to who it is that you want, but staying in that expansive energy. But also this is absolutely ready for you to step into your leadership role and to be seen. Some of you are a little bit nervous. It's like, you pop your head out of the hole a little bit, go back in, come back out. It's not that you doubt yourself. It's not at all. It's just that, you don't like drama. And sometimes your energy, because it's powerful, has created drama in and around you. Now, this is something that you've had to work out. And if you haven't worked out yet, then we're going to help you do that today. But because you had a lot of, for a lot of you, of course, this is a general reading, so take what resonates, but a lot of you actually had a lot of drama growing up. You may have had it in and around your existence as you were growing up, or you had it as you were growing up and maybe not in your household, but in and around you. So, and you were attracted to the dramatic energy because it was normal to you. It felt great, and it felt expansiveness because, you may have grown up or been in and around people that wanted you to sort of dumb yourself down, or maybe accused you of being too emotional. You felt like you needed to hide a little bit. So the dramatic energy was great for you because in some ways you could be sort of dramatic, right? Or you're around dramatic people. So, you sort of mistook that as people being themselves, or I can express myself, but you never really felt like you could express yourself around the drama or in and around the drama. You saw it for what it was, but it was a means to an end in a way. So when you express yourself, you always saw it as being part of the drama, or it attracted drama, but it didn't at all. You had dramatic energy in and around you anyway, and sometimes you needed to express yourself, but you still wanted to dumb yourself down, because you sense that a lot of that dramatic energy, the people that held that energy, wouldn't be able to hold space for you. So somehow, for some of you, you equated your power with dramatic energy. And sometimes you might have a little echo of this, like you put yourself out there and some kind of dramatic energy sort of seemingly comes straight for you. Now, it's not big, it's usually small, it's one person, but it's definitely beelining for you a little bit. So it's an echo because it's a mirror. You can see that. And it's a little bit of that echo that you've had to make peace with and you've had to work with. This idea that you expressing yourself is synonymous with people being dramatic or reacting dramatically to you based on your past. These two do not compute. They're not in any way attached to each other. Feel free to go out there and be that leadership that you want to. Now, we're not saying in any way, shape, or form that people, won't be triggered by you sometimes and this, that, and the other, but you'll deal with that anyway. That's fine. We all have to. Everybody who steps into their power has to. But this is something that's very specific to you that happens, and you feel like every time you step into your power, somebody makes a beeline for you and kind of comes for you. And again, it's just this one person, and then everything else is wonderful. So it's 1% out of 99%. Everybody's great. Where have you been all my life? And this is 1%, but it's echoing that mirror that you've had. So this is something that you've had to realize and cut that cord between you expressing yourself and somebody being dramatic or drama happening in and around that. It's not true. You've worked on that. So it's made you a little bit meek and mild sometimes about when you put yourself out there and how you do it and how you express your vulnerability. But you've really recently realized that your vulnerability and your narrative, owning your narrative, makes you you, and you can really help others and bring them to the light and hold the light for them. And actually, your story is synonymous with a lot of other stories too. But you've been encased in some of that darkness, and you've worked yourself through it. So you're really able to help people through it a lot more. So what you have to say is absolutely valid. So stepping into this extreme position of, and it's not even that extreme, but for some of you it may feel like it on certain days, because you like to be out there when you want to, but you like to choose the limelight and then come out of it and this, that, and the other, which you'll be able to do to a certain extent. But being a leader is stepping into that role of being a leader. This is your chance to be able to do that without any drama whatsoever, right? And if any drama does come in, it'll be on them. It's projection. You don't have to worry about it. Don't see it as an echo or a mirror. So we have 52 here, and you have the goddess of the moon. Yeah, you have these beautiful sort of illusionary, you work in the sort of the essence of illusion too. So some of you might be night owls, but even beyond that, whatever you work with is not necessarily tangible, and yet it really makes sense. So a lot of people can't really sort of tell where you're coming from, and they misunderstand that because they can't box you in. So you can feel a little intimidating to people. So when you express your power, they can't really tangibly say X, Y, and Z. You're this, you're that, you're this and that. And sometimes they do. Sometimes they project upon you and say, oh, you're just this, or oh, you're just that, or you're this, you're that. And it's absolutely wrong, but that's what they do, and they need to do that for them. So this is something that's made you not nervous necessarily, but it's made you hesitant in some ways to put the 2 feet into that, getting into, without a shadow of a doubt, I'm in this leadership position. I'm going to put myself out there. This is what I'm doing. I'm an expert. And again, this came up in Pile 1 and Pile 2, really claiming your expertise. Because what you do and how you transmute energy and how you work with your passion, with the alchemist, particularly with being sensitive and being out in the world, is absolutely gorgeous. And you'll be able to help other people in such an extreme way. So this time out and sacred mirror you have here, yeah, you're absolutely able to show people who they are without having to make a huge amount of effort. Now, let us be really clear about that. Now, when you choose your reality and whatever you focus on, it becomes more and more and more, becomes expansive. We know this. And yet people are still doing all sorts of things. They say that they really do understand it. And then they're creating this crazy reality. And even when you say it to them, yeah, and you're creating this, yes, but, and then it's somebody else's fault, something else is happening. Again, creating their reality. This is what you understand. You create the reality. So whatever's coming back to you is the sacred mirror. You can see what it is, and sometimes you can see what you need to work on. And that's what we said, the expression of when you stepped in to that leadership role and that 1% came in and said, da, 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 and it was for you. It felt personal, and it was because it was that echo, it was that sacred mirror for you to show, to say, the universe was saying, which is a little inkling of this. We want you to transmute this energy. The drama has got nothing to do with it. You're able to show this with people. You're able to work on one-on-one and groups and be able to teach people how to do this and transmute the energy by seeing what comes into sort of their quote unquote sort of reality, whatever they're creating, and be able to decipher it. All right, this needs to be worked on. This is just projection. We're not doing this. And stand in their power. Work very much in the divine masculine with standing in that power, but also work in that beautiful heart chakra with the divine feminine, where the receptivity is coming in. So the divine masculine stands in support of the divine feminine. Again, this came up in Pile 2. So you stand in who you are and in your self-worth, which is absolutely gorgeous. But the expansiveness of it invites in this receptivity. So all you have to do is stand where you are and everything comes to you. This is something that you can do. This is something that you can master. This is something that you can foster in other people. And in that way, you'll be working with them in a very specific way of standing in their leadership role and standing in it in such a way that it really helps people to realize that, you know, they don't need to, again, this came up in Pile 1 and Pile 2, you don't need to dumb yourself down in any way or hide aspects of yourself just in case it offends other people. You can stand in your truth and say what you want, and at the same time make sense to people who really don't agree with what you're saying. But at the same time, with the energy and the expansiveness that you have, they still come away with some kind of wisdom. So you're not in a us versus them narrative. You've outgrown that. So a lot of people are moving from the 3D to the 4D. A lot of people aren't in the 5D as yet, but we're moving through the 4D. So a lot of people, including yourself, have moved into the 4D. Now, in the lower end of the 4D, we have people with the us versus them narrative, and that's bringing in the 3D to the lower end of the 4D. But the higher end of the 4D is realizing that we are responsible completely for our own narrative and our own reality, and we take responsibility. And the more you work on yourself, the more the world changes. And all you have to do is work on yourself. Now, I had this story in one of my really, really old readings. When I trained as a Reiki master, my Reiki master told me the story about this doctor that went to one of the islands. Now, I used to live on Maui. It wasn't Maui. Can't remember which one, but in Hawaii. And it was this mental institution it was really badly run. There was no funding, and they couldn't keep nurses because they kept getting attacked, and all sorts of horrific things were happening in there. So he was put in charge. He was taken from the mainland, from California, to work with these folks. And he sat in the office, not on the premises. He sat in the office, and he says, I'm going to shut this down. They were like, okay, finally. And he was like, no, I'm going to heal everybody. Everybody's going to get healed. And then we won't need this facility anymore. And they were like, well, that's really confident. So you'll be there tomorrow morning. And he was like, no, I'm not going to set foot in this facility. I'm going to be able to do this without ever having to visit this facility. So he sat and he meditated. And he did this for 30 days straight. And he worked on himself. He worked on every aspect of himself, every mirror, everything that he went through, every aspect of fear, until he ran through it, understood it, transmuted it. And every single day that he did that, each and every person started to get better all of a sudden. And then, the nurses that they had there were able to stay. They weren't running for the hills. And then I think it was like within 6 months, it was less than a year. There was no need to have that. And when I looked it up, there was this facility and it had closed. So working on yourself, knowing and understanding that it all starts with you, and the aspect of you goes so much deeper, really understanding that, how you've lived and what you've accepted is only a tiny portion of what you can do, and really living that truth brings in this receptivity, brings in this gorgeousness. I mean, a lot of you working with the really strength of the divine feminine, but the strength of the foundation of the divine masculine here, but working with the divine feminine, really changing the way that you move, changing the way that you even look, with this intimate, beautiful self-love coming in and being responsible for everything that comes up for you. So here we have the Empress. Absolutely. You've got this divine feminine coming in with this sacred mirror. Everything that comes in with this passionate energy can be transmuted now. You really are the phoenix rising out of the ashes, but it's not this sort of flame-filled it's this sort of dancing, beautiful flames behind you with this elemental energy that's coming in too. That's sort of beautiful and to some may seem a little meek, but really isn't. The person or the entity or whatever that ever underestimates you, that is just ridiculous, because definitely wouldn't want to meet you in a dark alley when you've been pissed off, because you definitely will. I mean, you're fierce in that way. So this underestimation that people have done or projected upon you in the past, this is something that some of you took to heart, but you can also use it in the way that you have with this beautiful divine feminine, but with this divine masculine that's really holding down the fort here. So we have strength that's in reverse. So yeah, you're working a little bit differently. What you're doing is you're protecting that divine feminine, coming up with this receptivity, but you're also showing the strength and the beauty of this divine feminine rising up in this way. She is not to be messed with. And you're doing this on your own terms. the world tried to make you really, really dark at some points. The world really tried to toughen you up in some ways, but you were extremely sensitive and you backed off from that. And, you put your shield up and you did all sorts of things that you needed to do out of survival and whatever. We've all done that. That's just human. But, at the end of the day, you still have that sensitivity, that absolute beauty that you have. And it's that part of you, that opening up of that chakra that gives you this gorgeousness that we need now. They could never take that from you. They couldn't get you in that way. No matter how harsh you felt the world was, you protected that. Your inner child, you protected that heart chakra. Now that it's opening up, you're going to find that strength from this divine feminine, and you're going to teach people by example and physically stepping into that leadership role of being how fierce the divine feminine is. Absolutely fierce, but you have that regal element to you too. I mean, you could look across the room and you could just really tell people what you think without having to open your mouth. You're very expressive. You have a very tangible energy. But yeah, when people piss you off, it comes in. There are consequences. So you have the King of Swords here next to the Goddess, and then you have the King of Discs. So King of Pentacles, which is reversed. So here's the thing. This is you coming into this energy and really embracing this energy and knowing this is the energy that's going to balance you and move you into success. There's a part of you, for some of you, again, obviously these are general readings, so this may not resonate with each and every one of you. But the way in which you've moved forward has either been really, really divine masculine, but again, and this you've got in common with Pal too, of sort of really skating ahead, going forward with that divine masculine, and not really listening to the intuition of the divine feminine, and pushing down the divine feminine a little bit more than she needed to be. Now, this is something that's very much for Pal 3, doesn't really apply to Pal 2 necessarily, just the energy of it. So you're taking out this divine feminine now, and you are working with it. Now, she never went anywhere, but what's rising for you is this divine feminine and the strength of the divine feminine, and knowing that your success is it will come from the full integration of the divine feminine. Now, again, the truth comes in of how you express yourself from this firmly rooted of the divine masculine. So they are evenly keeled. But for you, it's very much about embracing this beauty of the divine feminine. And some of you may have even thought, I feel as though I'm weak because I do feel very divine feminine. You shared, or you shut down that aspect of you, or you hid it a little bit. But even coming back into your body, again, the way in which you move, the way in which you look might shift too, as you really come into this beautiful energy of the divine feminine and really making it your own in this fierce, beautiful way. But also at the same time, just having that mysticism, that gorgeousness, and not hiding from any aspect of that. And there's this real sort of beautiful sense to you too, which, in your inner child, that naivety that comes out sometimes. I keep thinking of like Rose from Golden Girls, if you've ever seen that. You have that kind of essence to you, but there's also a Dorothy essence to you, or, there's also like this real sort of like cutting edge, deep-witted, don't F with me kind of thing. Also, you're not just Rose, but bringing out that understanding now, and really standing in your energy with that Rose energy, which is beautiful, knowing that firm foundation of the divine masculine is not going to send out this energy anymore of you not being bold enough, you not being sort of strong enough. Because, when people have underestimated you before, and then you've leveled up, you've gone out there and you've done it, so, but this is you really stepping in with 2 feet, saying, this is me, and really doing this divine feminine thing, and really stepping into who you are without any shadow of a doubt. Really want to bring in just one more, for you, Pile 3. I haven't done this with the others, but I just want to bring in one more energy for you. Yeah, you have that sort of fierceness. You really have that goddess energy also too. And, being misunderstood, but coming in and just really letting go of that and saying, I don't care about this misunderstanding. I'm doing this in my own way. And if anything, you can use that misunderstanding, that being misunderstood, to sort of infuse your legacy. You've got that yin yang, absolutely, with the 22 coming in Two, with that perfect balance of masculine and feminine. And for you, it's really stepping into that feminine, but your power is going to come from that femininity, and regardless of gender, from that feminine receptivity. Your message is definitely be receptive, that expansive energy. Your next move is coming in as soon as you open up to it, and you know, and you've claimed this divine feminine, the strength of the divine feminine. And this is what is going to be your success. This is what will your success, however you say, big house, money, security, however you monitor that, or however you see that security. Everybody has a different version of it, right? You will be able to bring in that security in pure abundance once this divine feminine has been firmly fused, and have some fun with it. Absolutely have some fun. That's the beauty of the divine feminine, really moving around and dancing with life. And it doesn't have to be all, I'm doing this, blah, 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 but having that as your firm foundation, so it gives you the support to be able to be receptive, to see what else comes in. So this is a beautiful time for you, the timing element for you, to step into that power. And the way in which you use that power is very passionate and very beautiful. And this phoenix rising image keeps coming up with you, and it's absolutely attributed for you with the divine feminine. So don't think for a second it's just divine masculine. This rising up and securing your faith and your beauty in the world, that's absolutely the divine feminine for you. Moon energy, goddess energy, very exciting. All right, let's see what we have for you here. I assess matters carefully and discern wisely. And I am curious about my true nature. I seek to understand myself. Absolutely. So, assessing matters carefully and discerning wisely. This is something that you did before, but you did this in a way with the divine masculine where you overdid it. You may have missed out on some opportunities. So with the strong foundation of the divine masculine, with the divine feminine, the receptivity and all of that expansiveness brings in this beautiful stuff. And then you don't have to veto it or work with it as it comes in the same way. You don't have to vet it and figure out how it's going to work for you. Just you work in a more sort of lucid fashion for you. And again, really finding out and getting to the depths of who you are, and to this absolutely beautiful sort of giggly, elemental, beautiful. The rose image came up, I think, for pile 1. It's coming up for you for pile 2, with that healing from the divine feminine, and really sort of that nurturing energy that you often gave to other people but maybe didn't give to yourself. This is something that you're doing for yourself, securing it within yourself, and this is the key to your success. So stay with it, with that integration, and embrace it and have fun with it, and get off the route of it needs to look a certain way, needs to be a certain way. You're going to redefine in your own terms, in your own way, what femininity and what divine feminine is for you and for others. You really, really are. And, the world needs it. There's a divine timing element to this, and you're the one to be able to bring this energy to the world. So that's what we have for you, pile 3. Absolutely beautiful divine feminine energy. We are sending you so much love and support for exactly who you are and where you are in the world. Go be you. And until we meet again, bye-bye.